The Counterattack of the Stand-in Daughter. Chapter 1, It turns out that I am just a stand-in. Nxai, who has lived in the N family, a prominent and wealthy family since childhood, has everything in the eyes of the world, famous cars, famous buildings, money, and status. For 18 years, she has lived a life like a princess, carefree, and always thinks that she is the biological daughter of the N family. However, the truth was like a bolt from the blue, causing her to fall from the clouds to the abyss overnight. On that day, the real daughter, Nxai returned, and the N family instantly became hot. Countless media outlets flocked to report on this shocking identity reveal. Nxai knew that she was just a stand-in carefully planned by the N family in order to hide people's eyes. The N family adopted her in an accident and raised her as their own daughter, just because Nxai's parents owed the N family a big favor. All of this was a wrong arrangement. In order to protect the honor of the N family, she was used as a stand-in until Nxai came back. Nxai stood in the hall of the family, looking at the glamorous woman, and suddenly felt like a rag doll that had been discarded, unable to bear all this anymore. When she looked down at the jewelry, rings, and designer clothes on her hands, these things that should have satisfied her became extremely dazzling. What the hell is she? A stand-in for decoration, or something else? The real daughter, Nxai said in her elegant tone, full of style, although my sister lives a life of fine clothes and food at home instead of me, I don't hate my sister at all. Although my sister has achieved nothing but being good-looking, she is still my family. These words are tantamount to kicking Nxai from the pride of the sky into the quagmire. She has obviously experienced so many grievances and sadness, but she is regarded as a laughing stock. Nxai's words were full of sarcasm and disdain, but the onlookers next to her seemed to believe it. Nxai is not qualified to stay here at all, get out of here. A zealous relative said coldly, with undisguised contempt in his eyes. Nxai just watched all this silently, with a sneer in her heart. She had always been the tool man who had been used by the N family, and now, she was just a discarded pawn. Chapter 2, From Hell to Heaven. Just when everyone thought that Nxai's life would fall into the dust, an earth-shattering reversal was quietly staged. A black limousine suddenly stopped at the gate of Angia, the door opened, and a man in a dark blue suit stepped down. His eyebrows are like knives, his temperament is cold and arrogant, and his pace is steady. Those deep eyes looked at Nxai, and instantly attracted everyone's attention. "Missin, are you ready?" The man's voice was deep and magnetic, with a hint of irresistible strength. This man is the young master of the Xiao family, Xiao Lingfeng, known as the young master of the iceberg in the circle, and it is rumored that he has a withdrawn personality and never has too much friendship with anyone. However, now he came to pick her up in person. "You." Before Nxai could react, Xiao Lingfeng had already ignored the stunned eyes around him and pulled her into the car without hesitation. "You don't have to stay here anymore," Xiao Lingfeng said coldly. Nxai was still in a daze. All this was developing too fast, which made her a little incomprehensible. She thought that she would be abandoned by everyone, but she didn't expect someone to appear so boldly and take her away. Inside the car, Xiao Lingfeng smiled lightly, with a little playfulness in his smile. "Did you sleep well last night? Did you dream of me?" Nxai was involuntarily stunned. She had no idea that this indifferent man would play such a joke on her at such a time. She reluctantly tugged at the corners of her mouth. "Shut up for me." Xiao Lingfeng was still smiling, with a mischievous glint in his eyes. "Don't you want me to say something more excessive?" She glared at him, a little inexplicably angry in her heart, but at this moment, she somehow felt that he was not as indifferent as rumored by the outside world, but a little. Chapter 3, Identity Reversal. With the appearance of Xiao Lingfeng, Nxai's life began to undergo earth-shaking changes. No one dared to underestimate her anymore, and no one in those aristocratic circles dared to look at her with strange eyes. All these changes stem from the power behind Xiao Lingfeng. He is the young master of the Xiao family, with countless wealth and power in his hands. It is simply an invisible fortress, so that no one dares to despise him. And Xiao Lingfeng himself showed a completely different attitude towards Nxai. He did not treat her as a tool like the N family, but was gentle and caring for her, and even gently comforted her every time she had mood swings. For a while, Nxai was no longer the stand-in daughter who was laughed at, but became the object of envy of everyone. Her paintings were once the focus of the art world and were auctioned at staggering prices. It turns out that Nxai's true identity is not as simple as the outside world sees. She is not only a stand-in for a wealthy family, but also a hidden artistic genius, and her paintings have already set off a lot of waves in the art world. However, what really shocked everyone was still later. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 4, The Truth Revealed. One day, Eun's Hye-rong appeared in front of everyone again, and this time, her words were completely different from before. Actually, I've always known that my sister's paintings are the real value. She hesitated, I just don't dare to face all this. This remark instantly caused a public shock. Eun's Hye-rong actually admitted that she was not entirely well-intentioned at first, and even had jealousy of Eun Chinexai. However, all public opinion gradually became calm, and everyone began to reflect on the truth of all this. In fact, Eun Chinexai is not just a stand-in, she is also the forgotten genius. Not only did she achieve something artistically, but she also regained her self-confidence in her life, and with Xiao Lingfeng's support, she began to truly control her own destiny. Xiao Lingfeng was still by her side, and said in a low voice, Did you sleep well last night? Did you dream of me? Eun Chinexai smiled lightly and replied, I dreamed of you, but now, I don't need dreams anymore. They looked at each other and smiled, and the two held hands and walked towards a new future. Chapter 5, The Final Counterattack of the True Daughter. As Eun Chinexai walked towards self-rebirth step by step, the eyes around her gradually became less indifferent. Some people in the Eun family even began to pay tribute to her, but Eun's Hye-rong, the woman who once stood behind her and accused her lightly, has never been able to let go. Eun's Hye-rong's return is not just a justification of identity, but also a well-planned social game. Her original plan was to use Eun Chinexai's identity to break the pattern of the Eun family, and to get her brilliance out of Eun Chinexai's shadow and fully integrate herself into the core of the wealthy family. However, it backfired. Eun Chinexai was not as easy to be defeated as Eun's Hye-rong thought. Her counterattack is not a strong confrontation, but gradually regaining her value. She never asked the Eun family for anything, and she never deliberately tried to hide her past identity. Her paintings are her real talisman, which is an undeniable fact from the outside world. Eun's Hye-rong stood on the stage emotionally in a public occasion, and she spoke in a slightly sad tone, My sister's return is everyone's fault, and I know that everyone misunderstood me. I will continue to work hard to regain the respect of Eun Ji, and it is my responsibility. Her words seem to be vain, but they are actually full of calculations. Before she could finish speaking, she turned around and generously accepted an expensive gift, showing her relationship with the top management of the Eun family. Behind all this seemingly reconciliation, there is a hidden scheming. She wants everyone to believe that she is the true future of the family. However, Eun Chinexai's counterattack did not come from the public eye, but her control of her life. With the settling home no longer able to provide her with any security, she began to look for a new direction. She decided to return to her former field of study and emerge as a more mature figure in the art world. This time, her return is no longer the blessed daughter, but as an artist, standing in the spotlight. Her paintings were acquired by international auction houses at high prices, and her name began to circulate around the world. She is no longer the poor stand-in of the Eun family, but has truly become the focus of the world's attention. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 6, The Secret of the Young Master of the Xiao Family. Eun Chinexai's life has changed dramatically, but Xiao Lingfeng's influence is also getting deeper and deeper around her. The relationship between the two has gradually changed from initial support and dependence to mutual recognition and cherishment. Xiao Lingfeng, a person who was once as cold as ice, turned out to be her strong backing. One day, Eun Chinexai accidentally found an old diary of Xiao Lingfeng, which recorded a lot of his past when he was young, and also vaguely revealed his deep affection for Eun Chinexai. This surprised her. It turned out that Xiao Lingfeng's concern for her was never accidental. The diary reads, She is the strongest woman I have ever met, and the most vulnerable. No matter how much she tried to hide her pain, I could see it. Perhaps, this is my special affection for her, I have fallen in love with her long before she noticed. This paragraph of text made Eun Chinexai's heart throb inexplicably. She is no longer the woman who only depends on others, she has learned how to control her own destiny, but she still can't turn a blind eye to this man's affection. However, Xiao Lingfeng's secret doesn't stop there. As time passed, Eun Chinexai gradually discovered that the reason why the Xiao family was so powerful was not only because of wealth and status, but also because there were many unrevealed pasts hidden in it. One night, Xiao Lingfeng suddenly took her to a secret basement of the Xiao family. It was full of all kinds of old documents and collections, and Chinexai looked around curiously, and suddenly saw an old photo. In the photo is a man very similar to Xiao Lingfeng, standing next to a very young-looking woman, the two are smiling happily, and behind them is the old mansion of the Xiao family. What is this? Eun Chinexai asked puzzled. Xiao Lingfeng looked down at the photo, and then replied in a calm tone, My mother, and someone I never mentioned. Then, he turned around and walked over to a pile of papers and began to flip through them. That person once helped the Xiao family, and then disappeared into our world. I've been looking for everything there is to know about him, and that's one of the reasons I'm here. And Chenexai couldn't help but wonder in her heart, did this unsolved past also have something to do with her fate? Underscore 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 un. Chapter 7, A New Beginning. And Chenexai's paintings have attracted more and more attention, and have even become the collection objects of some celebrities in the art world. Not only did she find her own value in art, but with the support of Xiao Lingfeng, she set up her own gallery and began to provide a stage for talented but undiscovered artists. She is no longer the daughter she once bewitched, but has gradually become a respected female artist. Her every step is steady, and every stroke contains endless power. And Xiao Lingfeng gradually let go of the secrets of the past. He began to cherish every day within Chenexai even more. The two are no longer the simple partnership they used to have, but have become more intimate. Xiao Lingfeng no longer concealed his emotions, he was no longer the person who was as cold as ice, but a man with endless tenderness and tolerance for Chenexai. At the opening ceremony of an art exhibition, Xiao Lingfeng stood under the stage, looking intently at Chenexai who was shining on the stage. Her smile was as bright as he had ever seen before, as if she had never experienced those pains and shadows. He stepped forward, gently took her hand, and whispered, "Our story has just begun." Chenexai smiled slightly and held his hand. "Yes, this is our beginning."